Hi, I'm Ben Barnes, and I'm here chatting with Milky.
First off, congratulations on the EP. I know you've been like wanting to put this out for some time.
Thank you so much.
Could you kind of tell us your background in music leading up to Songs for You?
Yeah, I started getting excited about music probably in my teens. My dad would always have like the Stones and the Beatles and Queen and the Who and the Doobie Brothers like, blasting around the house. But then I would rummage around in the back of his vinyls and find the Stevie Wonder and the Ray Charles and all the sort of Motown-y stuff. And I played the drums in like a bunch of bands and jazz orchestras and concert bands and things at school, and sung in all the choirs, even if it was kind of like the sort of like choral evensong stuff, like anything music, I was kind of involved with it. And then in my late teens I sort of got into like doing like stuff in some pop bands, and boy bands were all the rage back then. I was in one of those for 5 minutes, and I would do like Sinatra tribute concerts and things like that. And then I think through the course of my acting career, I've played a bunch of musicians and singers and things, but it would always be kind of an impression of someone, or just sort of leaning into the influences of whatever genre of music it was. And it was never me. It was never my voice and my songs and my messaging and my kind of sound. And I think it just kind of took me this long to kind of figure it out, to be honest.
Well, it's finally here, Songs for You out in the world. How does it feel like to finally have your like debut kind of like body of work out in the world, and why do you think now is the perfect time to do it?
If it had happened when I was 19, that would have been perfect too, but I kind of just reached a crunch point during the pandemic of, if not now, then when.
Yeah.
And I knew that I would be this 80-year-old man wondering why I didn't do it. And there's no reason to do it other than lack of opportunity or fear. And I have the opportunity, so you can make that for myself. So it would have been about fear of reception. And I think that, I think at this point in my life, I just kind of gotten past that a little bit. Like it's, I needed to do it for me. And I had a sort of clamoring of beautiful people online over the last few years of playing like covers on Instagram or whatever at my piano, being like, oh, sounds really great. Could you cover this song? Or, all the way up to like, a year or two later, my tweets, people sending me that video of like, where's the damn album? We need the damn album, And I was like, you know what? They're right. Where is it?
Yeah.
And then I just sort of went through all my sort of lyric books and little quotes that I've written down and all those things, and I just started being a bit more patient with the music process and trying to clumsily move my fingers around this piano and make it sound like I felt when I felt the things that I wrote the lyrics about. And then was really lucky and got some brilliant producers on board who'd worked with some brilliant people, John Mayer and Lucas Nelson Band, and all these great people, and that they kind of helped me craft it into what it is.
I mean, glad it's finally here. Like I said, it's such a good EP. And conceptually, like, kind of traverses themes of love and different types of relationships based on love, and offers up, moments of vulnerability and intimacy. What kind of prompted that conceptual exploration for your debut?
I mean, I think I'm an eternally hopeful person. I'm a very romantic kind of optimist in my life. I've been gravitating towards stories about hope in my acting career. And, being raised by a sort of sex and relationships therapist and a psychiatrist, I think looking at things from more than one angle and just kind of experiencing and sharing with my closest people, like the stuff that's going on in our lives, and trying to find ways to express that to each other and let each other know that you're not the only person feeling these things a lot of the time. That's, I think after the last couple of years we've all had, like, knowing that other people feel the same way that you feel is an important thing to do. And it felt like these songs were the most raw, the most intimate, the most personal. And I think, after 20 years of being sort of written for and costumed and edited, it just felt like time to do something completely from me. And I thought that would be scary, and it absolutely wasn't.
And it's such a nice EP. Like, it's quite uplifting sonically. Like, you weave together threads of soul pop and jazz and traditional pop. There's kind of the jazzy pianos, the sparkling guitars, the trumpets, which I love. It's kind of like Michael
Awesome
vibes. What led you down that path sonically and like exploring this genre, and why do you think it was the right sonic realm for your music to exist within?
Brilliant question, and I've just realised how much I love the word sonically when you keep saying it, and like I said, it sounds really good. I love it, but you've nailed it. It's like it's you know, I wanted something that was accessible, so that's where the sort of, I guess, like the pop element comes in. You know, I didn't know that they would be sort of, as you know, there's a couple of songs which I think are quite catchy, and I didn't know that would be something I would know how to do or would do on purpose necessarily. Not necessarily what I was going for, but I don't think you'll ever end up with what you're going for, really. Like there are, like you say, like there's these harmonized Queen guitars in the pre-choruses of 11:11. There's a Penny Lane trumpet fanfare, like a Beatles style. There's you know, Ray Charles Georgia strings on one of the things. There's these sort of Motown horns, which I just love that sort of stabbing horn thing. Just gives it that nostalgic, comfortable feel. And there's a sort of like almost like a Nat King Cole Christmas feel to some of it. And then there's like Bonnie Raitt or kind of you know, like rawness to it, like Jeff Buckley or something. You know, not really any of those things, but you know, if it sounds a bit Stevie Wonder, it's because I've listened to so much Stevie Wonder. Like if there's a little bit of that in there for you. And you know, I think sometimes I sing and I'm like, oh, I wish I sounded like Donny Hathaway. Yeah, I wish Donny Hathaway was singing these songs. I would love that. And actually my piano player, Charles Jones, is amazing. He sounds quite a lot like Donny Hathaway. So I've heard him sing little bits of my songs back to me and I'm like, oh, you just do it. You just sing them. But what I realized in that moment was that's how much I'm proud of the songs, because I was like, oh, you sing my song, you know? So when people do get covers of it and stuff, it's kind of thrilling. But yeah, it's honestly just a big melting pot of stuff that I love. And then played by the same musicians and sung by the same person. It kind of has this like, yeah, I've been calling it old soul pop because that's kind of what I want it. That's what I think that sounds cool. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I love it so much. I also really love Pirate Song. Like, I think it's like this massive moment in the middle of the EP. And I know you said it was inspired by a short story you had read.
It wasn't even a short story. It was actually just, Back from the Dead Red was a real life pirate. She was like a real badass, like female pirate who would pretend to fake her own death in order to get away with her piratey booty heists.
Yeah.
And I was like, honestly, I was writing that song and it was called something else and it was boring me. And it was just a song about that, you know, which is a thread that runs through the EP of that person that you can't quite get, you know, you can't quite grasp because they're a bit of a, you know, an enigma. And then I thought with this metaphor of this like amazing like fiery pirate woman, she must have had a man in every port. And what if the song was written from the perspective of one of those guys? So it was kind of like a flipped perspective, like not feminist, but like just alternate, you know, turn the telescope around, alternate magnifying glass kind of thing. And then I suddenly became more interesting. And then the producers were like, we like the song, it just feels slow. And then we really sped it up and like put drums and bass and like had this like almost St. Paul and the Broken Bones kind of like punch to it, which and then it made me I almost left that song off because it wasn't quite working. And then eventually we found it when we got the drums right and the horns right. It was like, yeah, now you can bop your head to it.
So awesome. And like, you are such a great storyteller, and that song really does prove that. Obviously you play like a variety of different characters. Are there any that you would draw on to write a song about that character or kind of that character's experiences?
I mean, I think I can imagine like the character I played in The Words, for example. He was like an author who's like, you know, just this like painful lost love thing. It's so romantic and so painful. Like 20 years down the line, he just sees her one time through a train window and that's it. And that to me feels like you could play like Ordinary Day over that. Over that moment in that film. Obviously, Jackie and Ryan, he was a songwriter himself and a singer. The character that I play in that film with Katherine Heigl is like a street busker. But he's kind of like profound, kind of always has good advice. So I think that like maybe not the end with all the cliche advice stuff. He maybe would have a little bit of that in him. Maybe.
So you mentioned that Pirates almost didn't make the final track list. Were there any other kind of songs that didn't make the track list that could have
Well, it was going to be four. It was going to be four. There were unfinished songs that I thought I must finish this one and have it on the EP. But then I realized that they didn't quite go with the theme of it, which was all of the songs have more than one perspective in them. And they all have this like vein of hope running through them, even if they're not like hopeful on the surface. And I liked that they all went together in that way. So that's why it was these ones. There was only a couple of other thoughts that I had, but maybe that was
same for the next one.
Yeah.
And so obviously, you started your creative career out as an actor in film and television. How do you think that those experiences helped influence and shape your musical endeavors? Like, is there any kind of spillover between the two, or do you see them as two separate creative avenues?
Well, yeah, you kind of said it already. It's like about the storytelling. It's about storytelling, about sort of clear and honest storytelling. And I think with the acting, I'm always trying to like tell things from two sides. If I'm a sort of psychotic villain who's cold, how is he vulnerable and warm, and how do I let that seep through the cracks? Because I think the more you let whatever you're not sort of written as seep through the cracks, the more intensely you'll feel the other things. You've got to see the yin for the yang kind of thing. And I think that's what I tried to do with the song. So that was certainly useful. But also I tried to sort of marry the storytelling in with the videos and use actors I've worked with before, directors, film directors, and just try and have music videos that weren't too abstract or performative. They were more storytelling style. And so that it would kind of marry my acting career with what this is.
And so, I mean, obviously music has been something that's present with you throughout your whole life, but this is our first introduction to you as a musician. And in the past, like, people have been skeptical of like actors becoming musicians going into acting. Was that something that was on your mind? And did you encounter any difficulties kind of crossing from the film industry over to the music industry?
I mean, I don't know how deeply embedded in the music industry I necessarily have become. I kind of quite stayed at the outside of it, kind of wanting to sort of maintain a bit of control. But I'm interested to see what might be next in terms of that navigation. I obviously have been as cynical as anyone else. Sometimes when a big musician is in a film or something, I kind of, but I mean, I'll wait to see whether they're amazing or not. Like, I think you have to take things on their merits. But I just reached a point where I realized I didn't care. Like, anyone who's like, but he's an actor, what's he doing? I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's important for me to do it for me and for the people who are getting something, who are dancing in their kitchen to it, who are having a little cry to it because it reminds them of their boyfriend or what. And like, I don't know, like, whatever it is, like, it's for those people, not for the people who are sitting there going, I didn't know Johnny Depp was in a band.
Yeah, no, love it. And so you mentioned the visuals just earlier, and you shared some great visuals for 11:11 and Rise Up. How important are the visuals to you when it comes to representing the themes of the song? And also, how involved are you in conceptualizing them?
So 11:11 was entirely my conception, immaculate conception. That was entirely my idea. And then I got Lee Krieger, who directed some of Shadow and Bone, to direct it for me, which was unbelievably amazing. So that one, I had a clear idea that I wanted to be something performative. I had this like first image of like performing to this like big old theater, just one person in the audience, like having a bunch of different emotions. And so that's what that one kind of started. That was the seed for that one. And then Rise Up, my friend Georgia King, who's an actor and a director, she pitched me the idea for the song. And I was kind of hesitant at first because it felt like it was backwards. It felt like I was telling myself to rise up rather than the person who it was written for, or who it's supposed to be kind of buoying. But actually my experience of doing that was also valuable. And then we sort of worked on it together and changed bits and pieces and just crafted it until it felt honest. Because the one thing I wanted was for all the lyrics, all the music, all the videos, all the moments in the videos to just be honest to my experiences, because then they'll feel honest to other people. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it in a really like just authentic way, even if that doesn't mean anything to anyone except me. But it was important that the visuals be, kind of something I could be proud of as well. So it was definitely something I thought of from the outset.
Yeah, so lovely. And so if you had to pick one song of the EP to play to someone who had never heard your music to make them like an instant diehard fan, which song would you pick?
Oh no. I would, I don't know, I would probably like try to feel them out a bit. Obviously I released 1111 as a single and released that one first because it kind of had a bit of everything. It had the sort of Penny Lane fanfare and the Queen guitars and the pop, but also a bit of jazz and a bit of heartache and a bit of hopefulness and all of that. That's why I released it first. But I think because of it was the first one finished, and then came from like here up. For me, Rise Up was probably the one that is the one that gets me the most. I think. I don't know. You're gonna say Pirate Song, aren't you? So there we go.
It's my one. I don't know, just super love it. And so are there any like lines from the EP and lyrics that you'll find will be stuck in your head more often than not, like doing the dishes or
yeah, there are certainly the chorus of 1111, wish for you to be happy, that gets in my head. Pirate Song, heave ho, blow me down, that one, for sure, that one. And then also rise up, rise up, rise up. I think all three of those get in my head in the shower a bit.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I catch one of the like one of the producers or something will make a cup of tea and they'll be live, laugh, love, which is supposed to be sort of like, I won't sing it, but then we put the backing vocals on and it sounds kind of cool with the soulful lady backing vocals. So Not the End has that live, laugh, love too. So
love it. And so if Songs for You was a piece of pre-existing art, so like a painting, a sculpture, a photograph, whatever, which artwork do you think would best sum it up?
Wow, I do not know the answer to that question. The only thing that's popping into my head at the moment, which is utterly ridiculous, is the Matisse Icarus.
Oh yeah.
The guy with the stars and his heart, but you can see his heart. You can see his heart.
Yeah.
And there is a line in Ordinary Day, which is, he can't help but climb, but he's flying to the sun, flying to the sun, which is an Icarus reference, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I actually really like that answer. So obviously, you've conquered releasing music. Are you gonna conquer touring? Will fans be able to catch you?
Don't know yet. I obviously have my day job, which I love to go back to. So. Yeah. We will have to see how it fits in. Obviously, you're supposed to do a tour right after you release something, but the world is weird, and
sure.
I've got other things to do, which more people are looking forward to than that. So we'll see how it fits in, but I would love to do it. It's the next thing that scares me that I'd like to try.
What do you think one of your live shows would look like? And then obviously, the question any Australian fans would want to know. Would you tour Australia or, come and play a few shows?
Only Australia, I think. I would only tour Australia.
Lock it in.
And it would look like, who's an Australian person? Hugh Jackman. It would look like a Hugh Jackman show. It would have covers and film stuff and clip and things like that.
Love it.
I don't know. I have no idea what it looked like. But that's what I mean. You put it in the melting pot and you find out what it looks like when you're there. Ray Charles and Donny Hathaway and Queen and the Beatles. I mean, I love all those albums that, like you just see the marriage of Lady Gaga with Tony Bennett and all of those old school things. So, but and actually you're right. You can do Nat King Cole did a duet with his daughter posthumously, I suppose. So it's definitely feasible. Donny Hathaway's my favorite, and Freddie Mercury. The Freddie Mercury and Maria Callas duet is probably my favorite duet. Like Barcelona, that's amazing. I'm not really giving you an answer here, am I? I don't know. Adele.
Perfect. Lock it in. We'll make it happen.
Such a good question. It's probably it was probably the Queen's first greatest hits album, probably. When I was 10, Freddie Mercury died when I was 10, and I was, according to my folks, inconsolable for about 3 days because it was my first sort of experience of what death was. And there's just something about them, particularly those early songs, which doesn't sound like anyone else ever, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know what the secret sauce is, but they have it.
I feel that.
I reference one film in one of my songs. Do you know what it is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
So the thing that popped into my head was Elvis Costello singing She for Notting Hill, which you can go and find a Notting Hill reference in one of the songs somewhere. So I'm going to say that. I don't actually know what Hannah Montana is. It's a character that Miley Cyrus played, no?
Yeah. And she put music
Well, then
on.
Miley Cyrus, because she's an actual real human. And she did that Party in the USA song, which is really good. I remember singing Mr. Blue Sky, the ELO song, with my dad, like dancing around, like when I was small. But probably, it was probably something Beatlesy. It was probably I Want to Hold Your Hand or something, like Let It Be Me. I don't know. First concert was Paul McCartney, Flowers in the Dirt tour. Second was Mariah Carey, Dream Lover. I saw a really small gig with Hosier right before he released his album in LA, which was pretty amazing. I don't know album. I remember buying TLC Waterfalls and Gangsta's Paradise Coolio based on Pastime Paradise, the Stevie Wonder song. I bought both of those cassette tapes in the same day. I mean, the Spice Girls are British, so a Spice Girl, I suppose.
What would your Spice nickname be?
I knew this was coming next, you see. I would be Man Spice, which sounds like a really bad aftershave, by the way. Beatles. See, told you. Well, there are two answers, I suppose. One is when I was 19 and I was in this recording studio with this live jazz orchestra recording a cover of like 3 old school standards, which never did anything with, but the opportunity to do that, I was like, if I could just be in this room having this feeling forever, I would take it. But then it never happened. And then I think the second one was when I was sitting at the piano and I found the chords for Rise Up, and I'd already had the words, and I was like, this works. This is like kind of honest, and and then I was like, I need to release something.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been so lovely to chat with you.
You're so welcome. It was a great chat.
Hopefully, you'll get to Australia for some reason.
I would love it. I would love that.